My name is Christina Iptoma, and I'm the Director of Scientific Programs at MIB Agents Osteosarcoma Alliance. MIB Agents is a leading pediatric osteosarcoma nonprofit dedicated to making it better for our community of patients, families, medical professionals, researchers, and industry partners through programs, education, and research. We are devoted to creating and instilling hope with and for our inclusive and collaborative osteosarcoma community. And we do this through mutual trust, transparency, and compassion. To support this mission, we have an annual research grant program called OutSmarting Osteosarcoma. And through this program, our goals are to support research, support the career development of young investigators pursuing a career in osteosarcoma research, and to connect the patient and scientific research community. Our 2024 grant cycle has just opened, so we wanted to provide an overview of the OutSmarting program and encourage any researchers working on osteosarcoma to apply. The short overview will cover some background on the OutSmarting Osteosarcoma Grant Program, a look back at past recipients, some details about the application process, some highlights on our review process, some of the requirements post-award, and a recap of our 2024 grant cycle timeline. So first, some background on our OutSmarting Osteosarcoma Research Program. The program was started in 2017, and since then, MIB Agents has supported 18 investigators and awarded over $1.5 million to support osteosarcoma research. Collaboration among the scientific and patient communities is a key hallmark of MIB Agents, and our grants are supported by MIB Agents Family Funds, who are osteosarcoma patients and families who raise funds in honor of an osteo warrior or osteo angel. Their dedication to making it better and fostering collaboration and education in the scientific community make every MIB Agents Award incredibly meaningful. Our goal with this research grant program is to have the process itself be meaningful. We integrate both scientific rigor and patient voice into our grant process. We have a highly accomplished panel of peer reviewers, and we also include patient voice into the review process, and I'll talk more about that further along. Other goals within the scientific community include fostering young talent to focus careers on osteosarcoma, creating a collaborative educational forum with our peer review process, and also to facilitate future funding. We provide applicants a summary of critiques so that if they aren't funded through OutSmarting, they will hopefully help get them funded elsewhere. And goals on the patient community side are to give patients a way to honor their osteo warriors and angels, to provide donor accountability, and to engage the patient community to support and power research. And through this process, we create a partnership in how research is funded by including patient voice in the process. To have the most immediate impact on patient care, MIB Agents funding priorities are late-stage translational research with a probability of an advance in the near term. Research may lead to a clinical trial in 1 to 3 years. Studies with promising preclinical data that have specific funding need to move forward to clinical trial. Specific funding gaps in clinical research. Examples include correlative studies associated with and or prior to an already funded clinical trial, and also projects that facilitate and enhance collaboration and shared learnings. We have 8 focus areas noted here, which cover almost everything except supportive care and survivorship. Our focus areas include children and AYAs, decreasing toxicities, immunotherapies, molecularly targeted therapies, genome-informed precision medicine, preventing metastasis, systemic therapy combinations, and treating recurrent disease. We have 2 funding mechanisms. We have a $100,000 award and a $50,000 award for young investigators, and both are over a 1-year period. I wanted to share a bit about our past recipients to give an idea of the types of studies that have been funded in the past. As I mentioned, the grant program started in 2017, and for the first 5 years, we funded one $100,000 award each year. Studies covered immune oncology approaches, targeting lung metastasis, and chemo resistance. 2022 was the first year we were able to fund multiple awards. We were able to fund $450,000 in grants with 3 $100,000 awards and 3 $50,000 Young Investigator Awards. All the YI awards were co-branded with one MIB Agents Family Fund who raised enough money to sponsor the entire grant. Studies focused on combination therapies, modulating the tumor microenvironment, as well as looking at epigenetically distinct cellular states in osteosarcoma. And Dr. Regan's study was a canine trial. In 2023, we funded $600,000 in research supporting 7 investigators. We funded 5 $100,000 awards, and you can see 3 of these were co-branded by a family fund and also a partner foundation, Fishing for the Cure. Dr. Gardner and Dr. Cantor's studies are canine trials. Dr. Asgarzade's project is a correlative study for clinical trial SARB 038, studying nivolumab and regorafenib in relapsed osteosarcoma. And Dr. Voltermom's data commons for bone sarcoma is more of an infrastructure project, and it is an effort that facilitates collaboration and shared learnings. We funded 2 young investigators in 2023, and these are both co-branded by one family fund. So over the years, you can see that MIB Agents has funded studies that have focused on immunotherapy, comparative oncology, molecularly targeted therapies, correlative studies, and studies that facilitate collaboration and shared learnings. Donor accountability is a key part of our outsmarting program, and we are proud to share that the investment we've made to date in research has had an impact far beyond the initial studies that were funded. With 78 presentations sharing findings with the scientific community, 10 publications disseminating findings into the public domain, 7 clinical trials opened, and $11.5 million secured in additional osteosarcoma research funding. Okay, now a little bit about our application process. Here are some details around eligibility, first for the PI and then for the type of work that can be funded. For the PI, legal U.S. residents engaged by an institution located in the U.S. for the duration of the grant period at a nonprofit academic institution. Only one application per PI as the lead investigator in an award year, and there is no application limit per institution. For the proposed study, funding cannot overlap any other funded studies, and proposals may be for a new or an ongoing initiative. There are specific eligibility criteria for the 2 different award mechanisms. For both MDs, DOs, DBMs, and our PhD degrees may apply. For the $100,000 award, the PI must be an independent investigator with experience in translational research, academic ranks of assistant professor, associate professor, and professor. And for the $50,000 Young Investigator Award, applicants must be within 5 years post-fellowship with experience in translational research. Academic rank may not exceed assistant professor. The application is online at Proposal Central, and it is due on January 26th. We try to make the application pretty light. The meat of the application is a scientific abstract, which has a 5-page total maximum, of which maximum 3 pages of text, and then an optional maximum 2 pages of images. In the scientific abstract, we ask that you describe the investigator's background and experience in osteosarcoma research. For young investigators, we ask that you describe the mentor's role in the experimental design and execution, and also describe the plan for career development, including strategies for mentorship in pediatric oncology research, continued education, and future research funding. We ask for both of the applications to state the hypotheses, study questions, and overall objectives to be reached, the specific aims of the study, and to then also please discuss the research strategy. Now, a little bit about our review process. We have a 2-tier review process, and we want to be very transparent about what this process looks like. The first tier is peer review. We have a scientific review committee comprised of a peer review panel and stakeholder reviewers. Peer reviewers are subject matter experts. For example, we'll have a comparative oncology expert review a canine trial, an immunotherapy expert review an immunotherapy proposal, etc. And the peer reviewers review applications independently. Stakeholder reviewers are family funds who have raised $5,000 or more towards our research program in the previous year, and they critique and score applications solely on patient impact, which is something they are experts in. Proposals are evaluated for individual scientific merit during this stage of the process, and as a result of this peer review process, we determine applications that are eligible to fund based on the scientific review scores. The second tier is in programmatic review. This is where proposals are evaluated on relative merit and on how well they meet the mission. Programmatic review is done by our research advisory committee, which is comprised of our MIB leadership team, our family fund advisory council, and our Junior Advisory Board President and VP, the latter representing the patient voice. We determine allocation based on our research budget in any given year, and the scientific review scores and ranking really drive that decision. We ask our peer reviewers to critique and score on the 5 NIH criteria that you are all probably very familiar with, and I'll just highlight a few questions for a couple of these criteria. So for significance and impact, we ask our peer reviewers to consider, does a project address an important problem or critical barrier to progress in one of our MIB focus areas? And if the MIB focus area is not addressed, is there a convincing rationale to study a different focus area and make it better for osteosarcoma patients? We ask, if successful, will this improve outcomes for osteosarcoma patients and or decrease toxicities, improve quality of life for osteosarcoma patients? We ask, if successful, how much of the osteosarcoma patient population would be impacted by this study? If all the aims of the projects are achieved, how will osteosarcoma scientific knowledge, technical capability, and or clinical practice be improved? And will this have clinical benefit in the short term? And what is near-term clinical impact for osteosarcoma patients? For the innovation criteria, one of the questions we ask our peer reviewers to consider is, does the proposed study introduce a new approach or new perspective in the research concept, methods, or technologies that is likely to yield a significant advance? Okay, so just a quick note about the requirements post-award. The grant start date is July 1st, 2024. Halfway through, we ask for a progress report. In some cases, we may arrange for a 6-month lab visit and in-person update. We then ask the PI to present the study progress and results to date at our Factor conference in June 2025. And then we do ask for a 13-month report at the end of the grant period. So I've thrown lots of dates around in the previous slides, but I'd like to summarize them. The application is now open. Applications are due January 26, 2024. Recipients will be notified in May. The award presentation will be at Factor 2024, which is going to be June 20th to the 22nd in Cleveland. And the award start date is July 1st, 2024. Thank you so much for watching and learning more about our Outsmarting Osteosarcoma grant program. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email me at Christina@MIBagents.org. You can also scan the QR code for more information on our website and for a link to the program guidelines and application. We hope you apply in our 2024 grant cycle, and we look forward to reviewing your application.